The night my world collapsed started like any other Tuesday. It was late, around 11:30 p.m. on October 26, 2023. Mark, my husband of 10 years, was asleep beside me. Or so I thought. I woke up needing a glass of water, and as I reached for my phone on the nightstand to check the time, I saw his phone screen light up with a notification. It wasn't just any notification. It was from an app I didn't recognize, with a profile picture of a woman I definitely didn't know. Curiosity, a dangerous beast, gnawed at me. He rarely left his phone unlocked, but tonight, fate, or perhaps a careless slip, had left the door ajar. My heart hammered against my ribs as I picked up his phone. The app was called Whisper, and the notification was a private message. The sender's username was Desert Rose, and the message read, "Can't wait for Friday night. Same place, same time." My hands trembled so violently I almost dropped the phone. Friday night? Same place? Same time? What was this? A sick joke? I scrolled up, my breath catching in my throat with each message. The conversation was explicit, filled with pet names, plans to meet, and sickeningly sweet exchanges of affection that I hadn't received in months, maybe even years. They talked about hotels, about meeting up after he claimed he was working late, about how much they missed each other. The shock was a physical blow. It felt like the air was sucked out of the room. I stumbled out of bed, needing space, needing to breathe. I walked into the living room, the phone clutched in my hand, the blue light illuminating the betrayal. I sat on the sofa, the plush cushions, offering no comfort against the jagged edges of my pain. Anger, hot and searing, surged through me. How could he? How could the man I loved, the man I built a life with, the father of our 2 children, do this? Betrayal. A cold, sharp knife, twisted in my gut. Hurt, deep and profound, washed over me, threatening to drown me. Disbelief warred with the undeniable evidence on the screen. This couldn't be real. This had to be a nightmare. I scrolled further, back, my eyes blurring with unshed tears. The messages went back for months, maybe even longer. They talked about meeting up regularly, about how he lied to me, about how easy it was to deceive me. The extent of the infidelity hit me like a tidal wave. It wasn't a one-time mistake, a drunken lapse in judgment. This was a deliberate, calculated deception that had been going on for a significant period. And Desert Rose wasn't the only one. I found other conversations, on different platforms, a dating app called Spark, and even a private group chat on Facebook disguised as a fantasy football league, where he exchanged suggestive messages, and planned meetups with multiple women. He had a whole secret life, a digital shadow he hid from me, populated by women who knew nothing about his real life, his wife, his children. The realization was a crushing weight on my chest. He wasn't just cheating, he was living a double life. Looking back now, the red flags weren't subtle. I was just blind, or perhaps willfully ignorant. They were woven into the fabric of our daily lives, disguised as work commitments or harmless hobbies. His phone became an extension of his hand, always with him, face down when I was around. He'd jump whenever I came near him while he was on it. He started working late more often, sometimes not coming home until after the kids were asleep. He became secretive about his finances, claiming work expenses were higher than usual. He was always busy on his laptop, even on weekends, his eyes glued to the screen, a strange, almost manic energy about him. I remember one time, months before, the discovery. I playfully tried to grab his phone to take a quick picture of the kids. He snatched it away so fast, his face a mask of panic, that I was taken aback. He mumbled something about a confidential work email, and I, naive fool that I was, accepted it. Another time, I saw a notification pop up on his laptop screen from a dating app. He quickly closed the window, his face flushed. He said it was spam, a pop-up ad. I believed him. I wanted to believe him. The evidence I found that night was damning. Screenshots of conversations filled with explicit details, plans for future encounters, and cruel, dismissive comments about me and our marriage. Profiles on dating apps with carefully curated photos and misleading bios. A hidden folder on his laptop filled with saved conversations and even photos exchanged with these women. It wasn't just digital breadcrumbs. It was a whole digital trail of deceit. Here are some snippets of what I found. Whisper, with Desert Rose. She's clueless. Thinks I'm at a conference. Can't wait to see you. Spark, with Sunshine. My wife is so boring. You're a breath of fresh air. When can we meet again? Facebook group, disguised as fantasy football with multiple women. Just told the wife I have a guys' night out. See you all at the usual spot. Each message was a stab to the heart. Each profile picture, a face I didn't know. A woman who was unknowingly participating in the destruction of my family. The trust, once the bedrock of our marriage, had been systematically chipped away, replaced by a creeping suspicion that turned into full-blown paranoia. I started questioning everything. His late nights, his phone calls, his moods. Our home, once a sanctuary, became a battleground of unspoken accusations and simmering resentment. Every glance he gave his phone, every whispered conversation, fueled my fear and anxiety. I was living in a constant state of hypervigilance, searching for signs of the betrayal I already knew, deep down, was happening. The morning after the discovery was a blur of shock and pain. I hadn't slept. I sat on the sofa, the phone still in my hand, the cold light of dawn illuminating the wreckage of my life. Mark woke up and came into the living room, a sleepy smile on his face. That smile, the same smile he used to charm me, now felt like a cruel mockery. I couldn't speak. The words were lodged in my throat, choked by tears and rage. I just held up the phone, the whisper conversation with Desert Rose open on the screen. His smile vanished. His eyes widened in panic, then narrowed in anger. "What the hell is this?" he demanded, his voice rough. "Don't you dare," I whispered, my voice trembling. "Don't you dare pretend you don't know." He tried to grab the phone, but I pulled it away. "I saw everything, Mark. Everything." His initial response wasn't denial. Not exactly. It was a twisted form of justification. "It's not what you think," he stammered, running a hand through his hair. It's just online. It doesn't mean anything." "Doesn't mean anything?" I finally found my voice, and it was a raw, guttural scream. "You're meeting these women. You're planning to cheat on me. You are cheating on me. How can you say it doesn't mean anything?" The argument escalated quickly. Tears streamed down my face, hot and stinging. He raised his voice, trying to overpower me, trying to twist the narrative. He blamed me, said I was neglecting him, that I wasn't paying him enough attention. He said it was just harmless flirting, that it was just for fun. Fun? Was destroying our family fun? Was shattering my trust fun? I felt like I was drowning in a sea of his lies and my own pain. The feeling of being alone in that moment was crushing. The man who was supposed to be my partner, my confidant, my best friend, was my betrayer. He stood there, his face contorted, in anger and defensiveness, showing no remorse, no understanding of the depth of the wound he had inflicted. He was the monster I had unknowingly shared my bed with for years. I didn't use a third party initially. The raw, visceral need to confront him, to see his reaction, to make him face the consequences of his actions, was overwhelming. But the confrontation was less about seeking answers, and more about unleashing the fury and pain that had been building inside me. It was cathartic in a way, but ultimately, it left me feeling even more empty and broken. The tears, the shouting, the accusations. They didn't erase the betrayal. They just highlighted the chasm that had opened between us. A chasm filled with lies and broken promises. The days and weeks that followed were a blur of pain and practicalities. The immediate aftermath of the confrontation was chaos. Mark, realizing the extent of what I knew, shifted tactics from defense to a desperate, pathetic attempt at damage, control. He pleaded, he cried, he swore it would never happen again. He even tried to blame the women, claiming they were coming on to him. It was sickening. I couldn't bear to be in the same house as him. The air felt thick with his lies. I packed a bag, took the kids, and went to my sister Sarah's place. She welcomed us with open arms, her quiet strength a balm to my raw nerves. The decision to leave wasn't easy, but staying felt impossible. Every corner of the house held memories, now tainted by his deceit. The sofa where we watched movies, the kitchen where we cooked together, the bedroom where we slept, all felt like crime scenes. The divorce process began almost immediately. I hired a lawyer, a formidable woman named Brenda Sterling, known for her no-nonsense approach to infidelity. Cases. I provided her with all the evidence I had gathered. The screenshots, the saved conversations, the dating app profiles. Brenda was appalled but not surprised. "Online infidelity is rampant," she told me, her voice firm but compassionate. "But the evidence you have is strong. We can use this." Financially, the situation was complicated. Mark had always handled most of our finances, and I discovered he had been diverting funds, claiming higher expenses, to fund his secret life, hotel rooms, gifts, dinners. He had even opened a credit card in his name that I didn't know about, racking up thousands of dollars in debt. Brenda assured me we would pursue a financial investigation as part of the divorce proceedings. The legal battle was grueling. Mark fought dirty, trying to discredit me, claiming I was unstable and fabricating evidence. But the digital trail was undeniable. Brenda systematically presented the evidence, laying bare his deceit in court. The judge, a stern woman who clearly had little patience for infidelity, was not swayed by his attempts to portray himself as the victim. The divorce was finalized 6 months later. The settlement was favorable, thanks to Brenda's relentless work and the irrefutable evidence. I received a significant portion of our assets, including the house, and a substantial amount in spousal and child support. The financial investigation revealed he had spent over $50,000 on his affairs over the past 2 years. The judge ordered him to reimburse a significant portion of that amount, recognizing it as marital funds squandered on his infidelity. It wasn't about the money for me, not entirely, but it was a tangible acknowledgement of the financial betrayal that accompanied the emotional one. Revenge, a bitter but potent elixir, became a driving force in my recovery. It wasn't about hurting him in the same way he hurt me. It was about reclaiming my power, about ensuring he faced consequences beyond the legal ones. It was about orchestrating his downfall, piece by calculated piece. My revenge wasn't a single dramatic act, but a series of calculated moves designed to dismantle his life the way he had dismantled mine. First, I made sure his online activities were no longer secret. I didn't just send screenshots. I created a meticulously curated digital dossier. I included dates, times, locations mentioned, and cross-referenced his lies with his real-life schedule. I anonymously sent this package to not just a few key people, but to the entire executive board of his company, his department head, and the HR director. He was a mid-level executive at a reputable tech company, and his carefully constructed image was everything. The fallout was swift and severe. An internal investigation was launched, and the whispers turned into a roar. Within weeks, he was placed on administrative leave, and shortly after, quietly terminated. His reputation, something he clearly valued more than our marriage, was not just tarnished, it was incinerated. Next, I focused on Desert Rose and the other women. It wasn't about blaming them. They were, in many cases, also victims of his deception. But I wanted them to know the truth about the man they were involved with, and I wanted them to cause him maximum pain. I didn't just send screenshots. I sent personalized messages to each woman, detailing his lies about them, the cruel things he said behind their backs, and how he was juggling multiple affairs. I included evidence that proved he was lying to each of them individually. The chaos that ensued was magnificent. I received messages back filled with fury and disbelief. Some confronted him publicly on social media, in emails, even showing up at his office before he was fired. Their collective anger became a weapon, a relentless barrage of accusations and demands that followed him everywhere. My most satisfying act of revenge, however, was personal and deeply symbolic. Mark had always been incredibly proud of his vintage car collection, a few classic Mustangs he kept meticulously maintained in a separate garage. They were his prized possessions, symbols of his status and freedom. As part of the divorce settlement, I was granted possession of one of the less valuable ones, a 1967 Mustang Fastback he rarely drove. Instead of selling it, I decided to do something else. I found a local artist who specialized in customizing cars with elaborate murals. I commissioned a piece that depicted scenes from my life, my children's faces, symbols of my strength and resilience, and subtle, almost hidden imagery referencing his betrayal. It was a beautiful, vibrant piece of art, a stark contrast to the sleek, classic lines of the car. Then, I didn't just drive it to a car show. I arranged to have it parked directly outside the entrance of the building where his former company was holding their annual corporate gala, an event he was now, of course, uninvited to. The car, a rolling testament to his deceit, was the first thing every single one of his former colleagues and superiors saw as they arrived. The whispers, the stares, the questions directed at him as people admired the car and its unusual artwork. It was glorious. He couldn't ignore it, couldn't hide from it. Every time he saw that car, or heard about it, he would be reminded of his actions and the woman he had betrayed, and the price he had paid. Building my fortress wasn't just about revenge, it was about rebuilding myself from the ground up. Therapy was crucial. I found a therapist who specialized in trauma and betrayal. She helped me process the anger, the hurt, and the deep sense of loss. She taught me coping mechanisms, helped me identify the patterns of behavior that had allowed me to overlook the red flags, and guided me towards reclaiming my sense of self-worth. Support. Groups for women who had experienced infidelity were also invaluable. Sharing my story with others who understood the unique pain of this kind of betrayal was incredibly healing. I didn't feel so alone anymore. I learned from their experiences, their struggles, and their triumphs. Journaling became a daily ritual. Pouring my thoughts and feelings onto paper helped me untangle the knot of emotions inside me. It was a safe space to express my anger, my sadness, and eventually, my hope. I actively began rebuilding my life, focusing on my own needs and aspirations. I had put my career on hold to raise our children, but now I was determined to pursue my passion for graphic design. I enrolled in online courses, updated my portfolio, and started freelancing. It was challenging, balancing work, motherhood, and my emotional recovery, but it was also incredibly empowering. I was creating something new, something that was mine, something that wasn't defined by my relationship with Mark. I also reconnected with old friends and pursued hobbies I had let slide: painting, hiking, reading. I started prioritizing my physical and mental well-being, exercising regularly, and practicing mindfulness. Reclaiming my emotional independence was a gradual process. It involved setting healthy boundaries, not just with Mark, but in all my relationships. It meant learning to trust my instincts again, to listen to that little voice inside me that I had ignored for so long. It meant recognizing my own worth, independent of anyone else's validation. Revenge, for me, was a necessary part of my healing process. It wasn't about dwelling in anger. but about reclaiming my power and ensuring there were consequences for his actions. It allowed me to shift from feeling like a victim to feeling like a survivor who fought back and won. The scars remain, but they are a testament to my resilience, a reminder of how far I've come. I built my fortress, brick by painful brick, and I stand tall within its walls, stronger and more determined than ever before. My husband's secret online life destroyed our marriage, but it didn't destroy me. It set me free to build a new life, one on my own terms, a life where I was the architect of my own destiny, and where his deceit was merely a stepping stone on my path to power.